O'Day Osbourne versus Jerome Rivera. And we're getting a relatively short notice here for Jerome Rivera, who just competed the other week against Francisco Figueiredo and came up short, losing a 29-28 judges decision. We currently have no odds on this. This was literally just announced maybe 3 or 4 hours ago, so I just quickly did my studying. Luckily for me, I was pretty caught up on Jerome Rivera since, again, he just did fight a couple weeks ago. And then O'Day Osbourne obviously was supposed to fight Dennis Bonder. Funny enough, these guys were actually originally scheduled to fight each other at that January 20th card. However, they pull Jerome Rivera to go and fight Figueiredo, and they bring in somebody else new for O'Day Osbourne. But looks like we still end up getting the fight with Jerome Rivera having to fight before as well. Yeah, that fight against Figueiredo was very frustrating in a sense, because the guy has a great amount of size, great reach, 5'10", 72.5-inch reach, just doesn't know how to use it though. And that's very concerning again, because he can use that advantage very effectively if he knows how to do it, but it just doesn't seem like he does know. It shows great technique with the striking, with his kicks. He has great jiu-jitsu as well too. 9 out of his total 12 wins out of his MMA career, that's including 2 fights on the amateur scene. 9 of those have come via submission, and then the other 3, I believe he has a couple decisions and a KO on his record as well. But quite active off of his back when he gets taken down. But that's his issue. Like when he's not able to establish that range, his opponents are able to just clinch up with him and then take him down. And he really has issues in those instances. Like that third round, especially against Francisco Figueiredo, he knew he was down. His coaches pretty much conveyed that to him as well too. And he showed great aggression and great fight IQ in terms of going out there and knowing that he has to get a finish. Landed great shots, landed great combinations, great elbows, but then it just always comes down to Figueiredo doing what he needed to in terms of getting the clinch and then dragging this fight to the ground, or just stalling as much as possible, rather than Rivera going out there and just continuously battering him and potentially getting a finish. Like that, it was so frustrating. Just like I didn't have any money on him or anything like that, and he was a solid underdog in my opinion, but then he just made these small little mistakes that just prolonged Figueiredo's durability in that round. Whereas if we saw him keep it at range, I thought he would have been very, very live to get a finish there, because he was landing great combinations. The Tyson Nam fight, we saw him go out there, and all 3 judges' scorecards, they gave him that first round, and then he just gets nuked in that second round. But he showed great output, great durability, and great versatility is where I was looking at in terms of his striking. Like he's throwing kicks, he's throwing teeps to the front leg, he's throwing good punches and doing a good job of getting out of the way of these big punches. And then in that second round, he gets absolutely deaded. Another issue is his ability to get the fight to the ground, because I think that's where he could be successful here against O'Day. And the 3 times we've seen him on the Contender Series and his 2 UFC fights, he's 0 of 10 on takedowns. He hasn't completed a takedown. Maybe that might change here, given though O'Day is not the greatest with his takedown defense, but it's still a little bit of a concern that Rivera is not able to complete takedowns, at least in his last 3 fights. He could have the jiu-jitsu advantage here over O'Day, but even O'Day himself, I believe he has, I do want to counter it myself, he does have a solid amount of wins via submission. 1, 2, 3, 4 wins via submission out of his 8 total pro MMA wins, but he has gotten submitted as well in 2 of his last 2 losses. So right now he's on a 4-2 run. 2 of those losses obviously via submission, and then those 4 wins. He's finished all of them, 3 of them via submission, but 2 of those fights coming to the same guy back to back. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but it is what it is. My question marks here about O'Day is his gas tank. Like, he's gone to a decision twice in his career. He won a split and then he lost a unanimous. But how does he look in those second and third rounds? Out of his last 6 fights, we haven't seen him go into the second round. He's either finished his opponents or gotten finished in that first round. But what does he look like when the fight gets extended? We've seen what Jerome Rivera looks like when the fight gets extended. He shows great ability to put it on his opponents in that third round, especially when he's down. But again, still just falls short whenever he's not able to maintain that distance, allowing his opponents to clinch him up and slow down the fight. So that's my concern here with Jerome as well too. Now, this is all odds dependent. If we're getting Jerome Rivera at heavy dog odds at like maybe anything worse than plus 200 or plus 250, I might have to make a play here simply on the fact that we just don't know what O'Day looks like later in his fights. Again, O'Day shows decent submission acumen himself too, but I think that Jerome might have him beat in that realm. So I don't know if he'll be able to finish him that way. Will O'Day be able to knock him out? I'm not 100% sure. He seems more like a one and done type of puncher as well. Rivera moves well recently and has good output himself too. But the longer this fight goes, I feel like just off of what we have historically and factually, you got to lean Jerome Rivera to be able to go out there and go 15 minutes and fight from bell to bell. But again, just his small lapses in judgment really give me question marks about Jerome in terms of getting clinched up so easily, not maintaining his distance. He's going to have I believe a 3-inch height advantage here on O'Day, a 1/2-inch reach advantage as well. But how effectively is he going to be able to use that? So this fight has question marks all over it for me. I'll go with Jerome, even though he let me down last time. I didn't bet on him. I did predict him to win. But I feel like he can put together a solid amount of punches, solid amount of strikes. I do want to get the actual numbers in terms of how many strikes we've seen him throw, because he seems quite active. Let me pull that up real quick before I get on out of here with this breakdown. Jerome Rivera. So he landed 31 strikes against Francisco, 85 total strikes though. So he landed a lot of strikes on Francisco there. Even in the Tyson Nam fight, he landed 36, and that's only about 6 minutes or sort of 5.5 minutes of fight time. And then his fight against Luis Rodriguez, which was the Contender Series fight, he lands 93 strikes. So his output is there. Now it's just, can he be effective enough with it, not get clinched up, not get taken down, and then just, succumb to some top pressure from O'Day. But I'll go with Jerome. His short notice does bug me a little bit. But again, I still have so many question marks around O'Day as well too. I don't think I'll have any action on this fight, period. Again, odds dependent. If we get maybe plus 250 on Jerome Rivera, I might be obligated to put a little bit of money on him there. But anything in with less than that range, I'm just not touching this fight. Even in my degenerate parlays, there's just so many X factors going into this fight that it's absolutely scaring me off. So once again, I'll go with Jerome Rivera to win via decision, but it is definitely not my most confident pick on this card. You can couple it with my Clay Guida pick as well too. It's just, I have no confidence behind it, but given what I know about these guys and how I'm kind of just piecing this fight together, I feel like Jerome could, eke out a decision victory here, or maybe pull off a submission of his own too, as we've seen Ode Osbourne obviously succumb to guys with better jiu-jitsu than him. So let's go Jerome Rivera via decision.